Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're checking out a couple of heavily updated Max for Live devices. To show you what's up, I put together a little demo, lo-fi, rainy day beat kind of thing. Let's have a quick listen. First I'll disable these so we can hear the patch in its purest form. I might start off with drift. The first panel here is the basic drift controls, rate and depth. That's pretty straightforward. I won't go into too much about that, but a new addition here is this noise department. Let's call it the noise department. So this is an envelope following noise generator. So white noise is applied whenever audio signal comes through the device, and then you've got gain control here and decay. So let's have a listen. And if you want it to ring out, you can turn up this decay longer. All right, pretty straightforward. Moving on, we've got the lo-fi section. So we've got bit reduction and sample rate reduction. For this batch, I've just got set up with 8 bits, and a little bit goes a long way. Let's turn that noise down so we can hear it. And finally, the output section here, we've got a resonant low-pass filter. And finally, this little button enables and disables the saturation. So it's a tube-style saturator. Gain actually sits before the saturator in the signal chain, so we can push the signal into the saturator by pushing up the gain. Gets quite crunchy. You can get some guitar-like amp effects with that one. I've been using that on so many different applications lately. All right, so that's drift. Let's check out Freak. Freak is a binaural frequency shifter. Affects both left and right channels. So when you crank up the frequency here, the frequency goes up on one side and down on the other, which gives some cool stereo effects. In this case, I'm just using it for a little bit of movement and to make the piano sound a bit wider. So let's have a quick listen. When we crank up the frequency, it can get really weird. Get a bit of vibrato. Mod simply adds a slight bit of drift to the frequency shift, just to give it a little bit of more of an organic feel. Haas, also a new addition. So for those who don't know, Haas is the Haas effect, which is where you apply a small amount of delay to one side of your stereo signal, so either left or right. And what that does, it creates a more stereo signal. It tricks your ears into thinking that the sound is coming from two different directions. So it's a trick. It's a cool trick. In this case, pretty subtle, but it's nice. And then combined, All right, so I've got drift working on a few of these other elements of the track here. So this is the shaker ting. Where it at? So gentle amount of drift. You don't really hear it, but it's there. Take it away. It's a little bit more static. Don't do too much, but you get the idea. And bit depth at 11 just adds a little bit more crunch. Don't know if you can hear that. All right, so over to our kick. That nice subby kick is coming out of this yet to be released kick generator device of mine. I'll won't go too deep into that. It's really fun, but I've dropped another instance of drift here after the kick generator. So what do we got going on? Not a lot except for pushing 5 dB into the saturation, as I mentioned just before. So let's see if we can hear before and after. Chunky. And then finally, go back to the piano track. This little send that I was modulating before. Yeah, those heavenly harmonics. So we're sending out of the piano track into this return. And on the return track, we've got Apple's built-in pitch shifter, which is surprisingly good. You guys should try it out. And then we've got drift yet again. Now, if you recall, we had drift here. So we're drifting, we're sending over here, pitching it up an octave, and then drifting again. So you've got double amounts of movement on the pitch. More noise being added here. We've got some sample rate reduction there. And then what's really interesting, we're pushing 30 dBs into the saturator, into that tube style saturator. So if I crank this up further, you should hear that saturator really starting to crunch on. All right, that's about it, guys. I hope you like the updates. Yeah, I want to say thank you for all the support on Itch and on Rise recently. Really stoked with how many of you are getting into those. And yeah, I'm just very grateful. So thanks again. Those of you who are not subscribed, please hit that button, hit that like button. Any questions or comments down below. And we'll see you next time.